Okay, today we're going to learn about the Parshas Vaetchanan. We're going to read again about the Aseret Adibros in Parshas Vaetchanan. Now, we read already about the Aseret Parshas Yisro. Now, we had only one time Matan Torah. There was no two times Matan Torah. It's not the pshat we got another Aseret Adibros another time. No, Moshe Rabbeinu just repeated almost 40 years later, 40 years later, before he passed away, the event of Matan Torah, he told over the Aseret Adibros. So it's interesting, if we look on both of them, there is slight differences between them. This parasha we're going to read, when we read about Shabbos, it says, Shomer Esiyam HaShabbos L'Kadashoi Kasher Tzivcha Hashem Elokecha. It says you should Shomer means guard the day of Shabbos, like Hashem commanded you. And then it goes on. That same thing says over there that six days you work, 7 day you rest on the 7th day. Then it says v'zucharto ki eved oiso be'eretz Mitzrayim. You should remember you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and Hashem took you out of there. Now, so the difference says over here Shomer, guard the Shabbos, and Parshas Yisro it says Zochor Esiyam HaShabbos. Again, if it was one event, so what did Hashem say? Did Hashem say Zochor or Shomer? And then over there, when it talks about Shabbos, doesn't say anything on Shabbos about Yitzias Mitzrayim. We're keeping Shabbos, remembering Shabbos, to because of nothing about Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yeah, it goes after that to Kabed Esavicha Ve'esimecha. It doesn't say one word about Yitzias Mitzrayim. So what the differences are? Before I answer this question, there's another question. Why? And it's related to the ladies. Why, Bechalal, the ladies keep Shabbos? We know there is a rule. Kol mitzvahs esesh azman groma noshim pturas. Any mitzvah has to do with the time. The women don't do that. For example, why the women don't put talis and tefillin? Because it's to do with the time. You have to put talis during the day, not night. So it's to do with the time. It's limited to time. When women don't do that. Tefillin, same thing. Shabbos, it's also a time, every 7th day. So according to that rule, women they didn't have to keep Shabbos then, because it's mitzvahs esesh azman groma. So this is the answer. Originally it says Zochor Esiyam HaShabbos L'Kadshoi. Remember, and Zochor, it's the word Zochor, meaning it really talks about Esa, what you have to do. And that mitzvahs Esa, if it has to do with the time, on the 7th day, Noshim would be potter. That's why the Torah repeats in Parshas Vaetchanan, Shomer Esiyam HaShabbos L'Kadashoi, guard, and the Gemara says, whatever it says, the word Shmira, guarding, it means don't do it. Guard from nothing should happen. So I mean, don't do what you're not allowed to do. And mitzvahs loisas, a woman also chayav, and that's why the mechuy of the woman to keep Shabbos like a man, because of that word shomer, which is in Parshas Vaetchanan. Now the question is still, okay, it's very nice, woman chayav because there's shomer, but what did Hashem say? So Chazal telling us, Zocher v'shomer b'dibur echad ne'emru. Hashem said it in one. When he spoke Hashem Aseret Adibros, we heard both. What he said it at the same time, from the same mouth, the same time, Zocher and Shomer, which is, we cannot understand this. We could speak one word at a time. We cannot speak two words coming at the same time, two different words. Hashem says Zocher v'Shomer at the same time, and we heard it. And he says in Matan Torah was such a great godly revelation, we were able to hear also the same time two different sounds clearly at the same time. We were on a higher level, we were able to do that. Anyway, so Zocher v'Shomer, it was said at one time. That's why the first time it's written Zocher in Parshas Yisro, now it's written Shomer. It's all from Hashem. He said it at the same time. Okay. Now this answers the inyan of Shomer, guard Shabbos. Now the question is about Yitzias Mitzrayim. Why we are reading over here about Yitzias Mitzrayim? So it's interesting enough, by the Kiddush, we say this every week, so we should know either what we're saying or we hear it. By the Kiddush of Friday night, we say the Nusach in the Kiddush like this. Shabbos Kotshay, that's the middle of the Kiddush, Ba'ahava v'rotzon in Chilonu, he gave us the Holy Shabbos, Zikoron l'maisa bereshis, it's to remember the creation of the world, because when we stop on Shabbos, we don't work, we keep Shabbos. We're saying, why we do that? Because Hashem, after 6 days of the creation, He didn't do any work and didn't do any creation, He rested. We're also resting, it's commemorating Maisa Bereshis, the creation of the world, meaning Hashem, the one, is the creator. Tchilo l'mikroi kodesh, it's the beginning, Shabbos is the beginning of Mikroi Kodesh, which means when the Torah speaks about all the Yomim Tovim, it's called Mikroi Kodesh, over there it starts speaking about Shabbos first. That's the beginning, when the Torah speaks about holidays, the Shabbos is first. Zeicher l'tzias Mitzrayim. This is, Shabbos is to commemorate not only the creation of the world, to commemorate Tzias Mitzrayim. Now, how Shabbos commemorates, that's what it says in the second parsha, in our parsha, Vaetchanan, Zeicher, it says, Leman Tizkor, that's what the pasuk says, Shomer Hashem Shabbos L'Kadsha. Then it says, V'Zacharto, if to remember, Ki Eved Oiso Beretz Mitzrayim, V'Yasich Hashem K'Mishon Bet L'Zon, Tuy Hashem took you out of there. So Shabbos is about remembering. What's the connection? What's the connection of Shabbos and Tzias Mitzrayim? To remember Maisa Bereshis, Zikol Maisa. I understand. Seventh day, it's the 7th day of the creation. But Tzias Mitzrayim, what does it do with keeping Shabbos with Tzias Mitzrayim? So the Tur explains this. Like I said, we have to have this in mind when we say the Kiddush. We say the words. What do they mean? Those words. So the Tur says like this. Rambam Kosav, Shabbos Atzmoi, the Shabbos is Zeicher L'Tzias Mitzrayim. Why Shabbos has to do with remembering Tzias Mitzrayim? Ki ba'avur heyos Tzias Mitzrayim moire al Eloika Kadmoi. Tzias Mitzrayim, it's taught us and the world that there is a creator. He is the Kadmon, meaning he's the first one. He's before anything. Mechadesh, he's the one. He renews, he makes something new. He made the world new. Yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. Chafetz, and he has a will. We're going to explain what it means. V'yochel, and he's able to. Now what it means, today the way we look at the world, people call it nature, mother nature. They said it's like, it looks like the way some scientists, the way they try to explain the world, it's happened, some reaction happened on its own. Mashma, that there was no will before this, just by default certain things happened. Just happened. So it says no. There is somebody, Eloika Kadman. Before the world, before the nature, there was a God over here. And he's Mechadash. He's the one that brought a new world. He Mechadash b'chol yom tomid ma'aseh bereshis. And the way the Alter Rebbe explained in Sforim is not only create the world, then every moment he recreates the world every moment. And Chofetz, it didn't happen by default. Something happened, some reaction, some chemistry reaction, and the world was Bing Bang or whatever theory they have. No, Chofetz, he wanted it. He had the will to create the world, and that's why in V'yochel, and he has the ability. He's the only one could. A lot of us have a lot of wishes, but we cannot. Not always whatever we want we have. Hashem Chofetz and V'yochel. He wanted to do what he did. He could do it. He could do it. So, and that that we saw by Tzias Mitzrayim. But that we saw Hashem showed in Mitzrayim. We were in such a way under the laws of the nature. According to the nature, it was impossible to get out of Mitzrayim. That's like compare it today, the hostages in Gaza now, it looks like it's impossible for them to get out. They're guarding them, and they're very cruel. Mitzrayim, Paroi was the same thing. He says, there's no way you're going to get out of here. He has such an army here, he's going to guard you over here, keep your slaves over here. Hashem did all the miracles, broke all the rules of the nature. He says, I'm above, I created the rules, I created the nature, I could break them. I'm the owner. And he says, and he's able, v'yochel. And that's, when he took us out of Mitzrayim, we realized he's called Yochel, he could do anything, he's still here. Now we know that this world is not by any of those theories happen on its own, the nature did it, Mother Nature, no. He is the one created the nature by his will, and he could, and he did, and he's still doing it. So by Shabbos, by keeping Shabbos, we remember the creation. Till now, the creation called world, it's called Bereshis Bara Elokim. Elokim is Midas Hadin, a Tzimtzum, where he's hiding, Olam Meloshan, Olam Ha'elam. He's hiding. Elokim is a Teva. He's hiding in the nature. It's a very good place for him to hide. People could say there's no God. People could say all kind of atheistic theories. But now come Mitzrayim, he broke all these rules. He broke all this. Says, no, you see, the hand of God. There's nothing else but God. The Mele, so comes Mitzrayim, it brought back that the world was created by Hashem. So so that's what he says. Al ken koso b'dibur shniyos. That's what the Tur mentioned. That the second set of the Aseres Adivos, Parshas Vaetchanan, are Parsha v'zocharto ki'eved o iso beret Mitzrayim. You were a slave over there. Now, according to the rules of nature, you couldn't get out of there. Al ken. That's why Tzivcha Hashem Elokeinu la'asos es yom Shabbos, to keep Shabbos, because after you got out of Mitzrayim and you showed the boss of the year, the real ruler of the year is Hashem. Now keep the Shabbos, because that's the world of Hashem, and He's telling you to keep Shabbos because that's what He did when He created the world. At the 6 days of the creation, He rested on Shabbos. Shim yalla alavav chasofek ala Shabbos shemoira ala chidush, because if you're going to have any doubt that the Shabbos is teaching us something about the new world that Hashem again created then, and He recreates every moment. V'ala chefetz, and He has the will. It's not something happen by default. He has the will to create the world. V'ala yechoiles, and He is able to do that. Hashem, only one able. No one else could create the world. No scientist was able yet to create a world. They cannot create a world. The creation we could do, the people, the human being, that's yesh mayesh, something from nothing, only Hashem could do. He says, through this Shabbos, Tizkor Maro Enecho B'Yitzias Mitzrayim. You're going to remember, through Shabbos, you're going to remember Mitzrayim. Ka'ashu L'cha L'raya V'Lezikoron. That's going to be a proof and to remember. Vina Shabbos Zechel Yitzias Mitzrayim V'Yitzias Zechel Shabbos. They're both reminding of each other. Shabbos reminding you to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim. Every Shabbos we remember, because Hashem showed you He's the boss and He's the creator. And the creation telling you, I did this because I created the world. I'm the one who got you out of Mitzrayim. So they're both. Hashem does all the time His miracles. He does what He wants. He has the will and He has the power to exercise His will. So anyway,
so maybe one is remember in theory, one is remember in action. Like says Muslim action.
Yeah.
And creation is a theory.
Right, of course. Yeah. We didn't create the world. Yeah.
So one is theory, one is action.
You're saying so? We're doing Shabbos is the theory, and it's yes Mitzrayim. You're saying it's the action. Anyway, so what I want to say, at least to us, if we remember this, it makes the emunah stronger. Right now, like I said again, I'm going back to Gaza. We have there our own brothers and sisters in Gaza, and al pi derech hateva, it's impossible to get them out here. We tried already second year, and the whole world trying, and nothing going on. So we need the miracle of Hashem. He's the one did for us Yitzias Mitzrayim, He broke all the rules, all the walls of the boundaries. Mitzrayim, Loshan, Metzorim, Ugvulim, boundaries. And he took us out. The Mitzvah Hashem, he should take them also out of there very, very soon. Okay, so that's what we said. There's one more thing we're learning in this parsha. One of the there's many differences, small differences we have to pay attention. By the mitzvah of Kibud Av Vo'em, it says by Parshas Yisro, the first time we read about Aseret HaDibros, over there, it comes to Kibud Av Vo'em, it says like this. Kabed es ovicho ve'es imecho. Honor your parents. Leman yarichun imecho la'adomo asher Hashem nesen loch. You should have a long life on the land Hashem going to give you. He's giving you. That's it. That's the whole thing about one pasuk about Kibud Av Vo'em. In our parsha, in Parshas Vaetchanan, it says like this: Kabed es ovicho ve'es imecho. Kasher tzivcha Hashem Elokecha, like He commanded you. It says that the command on Kibud Av Vo'em was got already before Matan Torah, but there is another difference. Leman yarichun yomecha, that's the same thing. You should have long life, and the end over here, the ed uleman yitav lach, and it should be good for you. Hashem should give you a lot of goodness. The word Laman Yitav Loch doesn't say Hashem should give you a lot of goodness in Parshas Yisro. Only in this Parsha. What's the difference? So this question was asked in the Gemara in Tzechet Baba Kama. This question was asked, why in Parshas Yisro it doesn't say Laman Yitav Loch, and in our Parsha it says Laman Yitav should give you goodness. So the Gemara says, since Hashem knew that the first luchos, the first tablets Hashem gave us, they will be destroyed. That's what happened by Ma'aser Egel, when we committed the Aveir of Chet Egel, the golden calf. Moshe Rabbeinu came with the luchos and he broke them. Since the luchos Hashem knew they're going to be broken, he didn't write the word toiv over there. Laman yitav loch, you should have goodness. But the second over here, by the second luchos, since they did not break, so over here it says Laman Yitavlo. That means we had the goodness of the luchos. Now, just to explain this, obviously the luchos has nothing to do with the Aseret HaDibros. I'll tell a little bit the history. On Vav Sivan, we got the Aseret HaDibros orally from Hashem. There was no luchos yet. There was no luchos. Hashem told us the Anvav Sivan, 50 days after Yetzias Mitzrayim. 40 days later, on Yud Zayin V'Tammuz, we committed the Chet HaEgel. Moshe Rabbeinu was coming down with the luchos already. All the Aseret Hashem told him were written on the luchos, and he broke them. When he saw we committed the Aseret HaDibros, the Chet HaEgel, he broke them. So the luchos and Aseret HaDibros, it's like there's nothing to do with each other. We heard Aseret HaDibros on Vav Sivan. We got the luchos, Arishoinas, came down to us on Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, 17 of Tammuz, and Moshe Rabbeinu broke them. Yeah. Now, then he came back with the second luchos on Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, a few months later, yeah, he came on Yom Kippur with the luchos shniyos because Hashem completely forgave us, and he told us as Parshas Vaetchanan the last 37 days of his life, because this whole Sefer Devarim starts Rosh Chodesh Shvat, and Moshe Rabbeinu goes to his world and Zayin Adar 37 days later. So he told us about Aseret HaDibros second time 40 years later. What does it do? The answer of the Gemara doesn't say Laman Yitavlach the first time, the first Aseret HaDibros, because Hashem knew they're going to be broken. What does to do with the breaking of the luchos with Aseret HaDibros? Like I said, there was Aseres Adibras we were told us by Parshas Yisroi. I mean, we heard it from Hashem, and then Moshe repeated them in Parshas Vaetchanan. The luchas he brought twice down. Once in Zayin B'Tammuz, which is he broke them. Once on Yom Kippur. What does it do with the child? It's obviously the two luchas represent the two Aseres Adibras. The first Aseres Adibras, when we heard from Hashem directly, that's the first luchas represent. And then Hashem knew is not gonna that those luchos going to be broken, so he omitted the word Laman Yitavloch. He didn't tell us. It's not written in the Torah, Laman Yitavloch. It should be good to you. You should have goodness from him. The second luchos represent the second Aseres Adibros. Again, that was the one Aseres Adibros only, but it's written over there. It's spelled out over there, Laman Yitavloch, because the second luchos were not broken, and there's something good over there remains. Now, I just want to explain this a little bit deeper. Like I said, it's still not perfect answer. It's only representing. It's not the same thing because, like I said, the luchos, two different things than Aseres Adibros, and we had only one Aseres Adibros. It's a repetition only of the first original ones. So it's like this. Like I said, there's a lot of hints over here, like Zocher v'Shomer b'Dibur Echad Ne'emru. It was all said in one shot. So here's what another explanation of this. When we got the Torah on Vav Sivan, on Shavuos, Vav Sivan, when we got the Torah, we were in a madrega of tzaddikim gemurim, complete tzaddikim, Klal Yisrael. Even though we just came out of slavery 50 days earlier, we didn't go to learn in yeshiva for many years. We didn't do a lot of work, spiritual work to earn this. But it says Hashem, with his great revelation, he removed all impurity from us, and we were standing over there like big tzaddikim. With the cleansing of going to that slavery in Mitzrayim, we cleansed all our aveiros. Plus, he removed all the impurity by Matan Torah. When he revealed himself, we were standing by like tzaddikim. But then we sinned. 40 days later, we committed Chet Egel. The impurity came back. By the second luchas, by Yom Kippur, when we did the tshuva, right after that, we worked hard. Till came Yom Kippur, Hashem said, I forgive you completely. We stood on the level by the second luchas of Balat Tshuva. Now we Balat Tshuva. Now we work hard. We did the Aveira, we work hard to do Tshuva. So then it says, Laman Yitablach. The level of Balat Tshuva, the Gemara says, greater than a tzaddik. And that level, Hashem says, the goodness, it's lays right there. Balat Tshuva, in many ways, it's greater. Now, one of the things that Balat Tshuva is greater than the tzaddik, and the Mittel Rebbe speaks about it. No matter how great is the tzaddik, and he's great, he never did any aveiros, he's close to Hashem, and even he has the level of humility, humble, like Moshe Rabbeinu is a level of tzaddik. Ish Moshe Onov Mikolodov, very, very humble. There's one thing about Tshuva has that the tzaddik doesn't possess. Again, besides many other things that he achieved through his tshuva. And what's that? That's the lev nishbor, the broken heart. The broken heart, because the tshuva feel like a fool. I did such a aveira, and he regrets it deeply, and he feels, and that tzaddik doesn't have. Tzaddik never did something that he should so regret. I did something wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He's a tzaddik. So that feeling of the Baal Tshuva, of a regret, of broken heart, what I did in the past, that he says, that that deep feeling of how wrong I was, that puts him in the highest level closeness to Hashem, and that's Leman Yitavlach. That's going to be good. So the goodness, the real goodness, comes when a person comes with a very. It's not just humble. A tzaddik also could be humble. They are humble, but the Baal Tshuva, it's more lev nishbor. It's more broken heart. The more the feeling of regret. Of feeling sorry, which is tzaddik doesn't have that feeling of sorry, and that brings you close to Hashem, leman yitavlach, and that then Hashem. So the goodness of Hashem mainly come to that level of lev nishbar. Okay.
Nishva, which is